Shah to speak on the digital adoption for jewelers,
Okay.
COVID and beyond. Thank you, Krishna sir. Thank you for coming. Thank you, sir.
So I'm going to give it my best shot nevertheless. My name is Devang. I'm a director with KPMG. A little bit of introduction about myself. This is my third year here as a speaker, fourth year here in this event. And can you go to the next slide? Oh, I don't have the. Am I supposed to have? It's not here. No? Oh, lovely. Okay, great. So quick introduction about myself. I'm Devang. I'm a part of the business consulting team at KPMG. 15 years now between industry and consulting. Started my career at Titan way back in 2006. Was a part of the jewelry division there. Then moved on, worked for some time at Nokia. But in large part, I have spent my professional life in consulting. And largely, I work with consumer markets clients, which includes a lot of jewelers as well. So the topic that I'm going to talk about today is digital adoption, particularly given the context of COVID. Now, a lot of what I was going to talk about is already covered by Biju in terms of at least the impact of COVID. So what I'll do is I'll take a step back, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk a little bit more about the digital adoption itself. And us as an industry, as jewelers, where do we stand in terms of adoption? What more can we do? What are the typical myths around digital? And finally, what I'll end with, given the fact that we have 30 minutes. So finally, what I'll end with is what is it that each one of you, everyone in this room, can do to adopt and benefit truly from digital, be it on the revenue side, or be it how we can release cash flow from inventory, or how can we reduce costs, right? That's how I'll sort of phase myself. So let's continue. So what is digital, right? Everything in technology and in science per se has a very specific definition, but digital per se is a loosely defined word. There's no clear definition of digital, unlike a computer, which is a processing unit, unlike an ERP, which, as the name suggests, helps you effectively manage your resources. Digital is a loosely used term, but we can broadly talk about digital as as a modern day avatar of all things internet and cloud. It's like a basket of technologies which are sort of related very closely to internet, and of course help businesses as well as consumers go about their lives performing and delivering much more efficiently. So you'll notice that the term is loose. It's not a very clearly defined term, and what it also means hence is that a very large gamut of technologies come within the ambit of digital, right? If we move forward, so I have a quick quiz question. Let's do a show of hands, and let's sort of see what kind of penetration do we already have of internet in this country. So that's a question. What percentage of people in India do you think have internet access? We are not just talking about adults here. We are talking about everybody, right? And we are talking about everybody across the 135, 140 crore odd people in this country. So let's see. How many people think it will be less than 20%? Can we do a show of hands? Okay, between 20 to 40? 40 to 60? And more than 60? Okay, so I would say majority are between 40 to 60 and more than 60. Now let's look at the data. A busy slide, but the key numbers here being of the 139 crore people in this country, we have well over 70 crore people who already have access to the internet in this country. I had said this the last time, this country's internet penetration is divided into two eras. There is pre-Geo and then there is post-Geo. What Geo has done with that kind of data rates, that kind of speeds, is that the internet penetration in this country is well over 70 crores. What it also means that if you take away people who are, or kids who are less than 8 years of age, and which is usually where internet starts playing an active role, that number is higher than 60%. right? That is the number of people who already have access. Remember, our consumers in this room are much smaller portion of that. So for us, it's almost 100%. For consumers who are relevant to us, almost 100% penetration of internet in this country. There is a general myth that older people don't consume internet, or the penetration is very significantly lower among women than men. But that is also not true. It is lower among women than in men, but it is still significantly high for us to be seriously interested in this channel, right? Let's move forward. Second quiz question, right? How many people, and actually Biju already answered this, so there's a little bit of cheating that has happened on this one, but nevertheless, how many people in India who buy goods online? And I'm talking about goods. I'm not talking about services, no ticketing, no bill payments, no insurance premiums, etc. Who plain buy goods online? Okay, let's give it another shot. Less than 2 crore. 2 to 4 crore? 4 to 6 crore? More than 6 crores? Okay, great. So I was thinking this will be a trick question, but it's not, right? We are at, as of 2021, we are at roughly 14 crore people in this country who are already buying goods online. Traditionally, when we started, way back in 2006, 2007, there used to be reports coming out by consulting firms like mine, thankfully not mine, which used to say that here are the categories which will go online as far as commerce is concerned. And here are the categories which will never go online. Today, you have lakhs of two-wheelers being sold online in a single day, right? You have all kinds of categories that can now go online. So almost 15 crore people buying online already, 30 crore in the next 4 years or so, transacting, buying goods online. This will be the first year when e-commerce will beat modern trade in terms of its revenue. Imagine the likes of Big Bazaar, Reliance Retail, the behemoths, the massive companies that they are, the revenue of e-commerce online will be higher across categories than these companies. So that is the penetration, that is the power that of internet and of e-commerce, of digital, that is already happening in the consumer space. However, is the internet affecting consumers only? When we think of our businesses, right? Now let's just all think of our businesses. Is it only front office? Is it only about marketing, about commerce? Is it only about front office for us? What happens to businesses other than those aspects? So this is a busy slide, but what I have done in this slide is, what I'm trying to portray is that digital does not necessarily only limit itself to consumers or consumer-facing areas. Let's look at all three areas: procurement, manufacturing, and supply chain. Probably the first bullet point there on the left-hand side is where everybody in this room stands to be benefited the most. All of us have seen problems of inventories getting piled up from time to time, seasonality, season में माल नहीं मिलता है, off season में माल मिल जाता है. All of those things happen from time to time, right? Inventory analytics, which essentially takes a lot of your historical data at a store level, looks at seasonality, looks at gold prices, looks at making charges, looks at design, even looks at who was the person sitting behind the counter or standing behind the counter and selling to what kind of consumer, and helps you realize what is it that you should reorder, what is it that you should not, and allows you to suck out inventory without actually impacting your sales. Right? Imagine if a computer could do that for you, and this is not science fiction. This happens today, right now. You can deploy inventory analytics and take away 5 to 10% of your inventory without affecting sales by essentially reordering better, by essentially managing your aging better. This is, as I said, not science fiction, happens as of today. There are a whole set of technologies available. And I won't go through all of it today, just given the fact that there are only 30 minutes here. But inventory analytics, 3D manufacturing, last mile delivery management, commodity management desks, so that you manage your gold prices better. I'll come to the middle one right at the end, but support functions, robotic process automation, all, this will sound like jargon, but these are really not very complicated things. The robotic process automation is essentially, for most practical purposes today, are talking about chatbots, which are directly plug and play, or you're talking about what is called OCR. Basically, your bills you need not, manually have manpower put in to process all the bills. A computer can do it directly for you. Workforce analytics. You have digital solutions today for employee welfare, so that you don't have to go to agents and you have one single solution, say startups like Onsurity, which will actually help you manage all the health-related issues under a single window digitally for your entire workforce. So you have all areas across your businesses, from procuring gold, manufacturing, from supplying it to different stores, from deciding what goods to go where, which designs should we invest in, which ones we should not, what kind of employees should we hire. Everything gets impacted by digital, other than what is in the middle, which is sales and marketing, and which is what I'm going to talk about for the next 10 minutes before I wind up my session. Right? Sales and marketing. Now, before I go on that front, there is a whole gamut of area on sales and marketing, right? And I won't go too deep into each one of them, but you have your classic areas like digital marketing, you have consumer analytics, you have data mining and data governance, which will sort of at the heart of all things sales and marketing. And then you have next-gen point of sale experiences. So for example, again, Biju talked about changing rooms, etc. I have in my career made IoT-based trays. So you have a tray in which you show the consumer a set of bangles. The tray detects which are the bangles that were shown. So at the end of the month, you will know, rather than dumping goods or melting your gold purely basis aging, you will know that if a bangle has been shown 10 times, whether it is 12, within 12 months or within 3 months, and if it's not moving, then you know that I need to do something about it. Why wait for another 6 months? And so that it comes within a certain aging period, and then give it either a markdown or send it back to melt. Lot of it can be done, and I'm just giving one example here, using digital here, now, today. None of this, I repeat, is science fiction. There is more science fiction stuff that will come if I had another hour, but I don't have that. So today I'm only referring to what is possible for all of us in this room to adapt as of today, right? Now, what I'll do in the next probably 5 to 7 minutes is that I want to start off by some myth busting, right? A lot of time when I'm talking to people within our fraternity, within jewelers, there are a lot of myths people have around how digital will work, and a lot of times people come up with statements which may not necessarily be true as of today. First, the digital revolution, ये सब मुझे कुछ नहीं होने वाला है, ठीक है? It's not going to affect me at all. हमारे कस्टमर एकदम बंधे हुए हैं, हमारी डिजाइंस बहुत बढ़िया हैं, हमारा ब्रांड हमारी सिटी में हमारा ब्रांड we are very popular as far as our brand is concerned within our city. It's not going to impact us, and Indians are never really going to buy jewelry online. I mean, you've seen over a period of time, some startups have tried, that business has only been so big. So, this is not really going to work. In our industry, it won't work. Yes, but I agree, our cell phones to बिक रहे हैं, देखो बहुत online. Good, their industry is impacted, mine is not. This is a myth. Digital commerce is not necessarily the same as e-commerce, right? There are various ways in which digital commerce comes to life. We've already seen in this, in the COVID period, how leading brands went through video sales and sold hundreds and hundreds of crores worth of goods, only having a very high quality video sale experience. So you can think of it as a Zoom call on superpowers, right? Those kind of experiences were given, and brands during lockdown, while the stores were down, were clocking hundreds of crores of sales. So digital commerce and digital revolution will impact everyone. It's just that it impacts different people differently, and how you adapt and how you imbibe it within yourselves will determine whether you will succeed in this or you will be a laggard, right? Second point, I have created a Facebook account, I have an Instagram account. यार मैं agency को भी थोड़ा पैसा दे रहा हूँ. I am there as far as digital is concerned, right? That's a second approach, and that's a second myth that we often see, that I have pages and I am paying an agency. I have adopted digital. Digital is a universe. I talked about various applications previously. ये एक दो चीजें करने से you will be doing a tick mark activity, but you won't quite be there. And someday some kid with a laptop and an IIT degree will come and beat you at your own game because he would have been doing this much smartly. And the 100-year legacy, the 50-year legacy that a lot of us have might not hold us ground at that point in time. The third is, in fact, I'll club 3 and 4. The third and fourth part is the myth that you, as an individual, need to be a software engineering company to adopt digital, or that you need to have a team of 50 engineers in your team to adopt digital. That is not the case, right? Digital is not rocket science, and I'll come to that in a little while. Digital does not require you to have large software engineering skills. What it does require is first the ability to acknowledge and adopt that I want to be a digital first company, and then take a set of steps which I'll talk about next. But please don't be under the myth that you need great technical skills yourself, or that you need sort of large engineering, software engineering development skills within your organization to be able to achieve all the things that I was talking about, to reduce inventory using analytics, to have the right kind of aging, to supply better goods, for better digital marketing, for selling goods online, etc. You don't need software engineering skills. That's a myth, and that should be put out of our minds when we go about doing this. Last part is a sort of a 4-step process that I leave everyone with in this room as to how can you get started, and if you've already got started, how can you get better at adapting digital for your own companies, right? Step 1, read and learn enough as an organization's leader to understand digital, right? Think of it this way, we are all jewelers, but we don't know the finer intricacies of every design and how it is manufactured, of every machine that went into manufacturing a particular design, right? But you have a team which knows that, and you know some basics. You know enough to be the leader of your organization. The same goes for digital. You need not know every intricacy, every line of code, every technology that is available. But you need to know enough to be a leader. You will have to, there are, again, in the digital world, there are a lot of places where you can learn this, and you can learn this for free. You have places like Lynda, Udemy. There are several courses today in top leading universities which will talk about digital for leaders, leadership-specific digital particularly. I would encourage everybody here to go through those courses just to understand that when you lead teams and when you lead organizations, how is it that you can adopt digital? That will be your step 1. Step 2 will be to take help. Once you've got yourself to a particular point in time, digital companies work better as ecosystems, right? So take help externally. Look for people, meet a lot of agencies, meet a lot of consultants, and understand where is it that you will place your bets. Digital is a universe in itself. There are so many technologies, so many vendors, so many areas. Each one of them will come in and promise you the moon. So how do you prioritize? Where do you put your time, your effort, and your money? Which technologies do you adopt? Which ones do you not? Right? You will need help in order to do that, to place your bets correctly, so that you are sure that wherever you are investing, it is giving you a bang for the buck. That finally, जेब में पैसा आ रहा है, finally revenue is growing, cost is reducing, or working capital is being better managed. So that becomes your point 2. Point 1, learn a little bit about digital as a leader. Point 2, take help from people who know this well. Point 3 then comes to building internal capabilities, particularly around people and technology, right? Much like you have a merchandising team, much like you have a sales team, much like you have a manufacturing procurement kind of teams, you will need a team which will do specific aspects on digital. Digital is not a specialist game in the sense that there is no digital specialists. There are specialists for digital marketing, then there'll be a specialist for analytics, there'll be a specialist for digital procurement. You will have to invest in a team after you have prioritized where you're going to make your investments, what technologies, what are the buttons you are going to press so that digital puts money into your pockets. Then you will have to invest in teams, and you have to invest in technology. And finally, execute with focus and prioritize, right? It's the pitfall I have seen a lot of organizations do is to say, let's do the easy part and dekhte hain paisa aata hai kya, right? If you do the easy part, you're doing something that everybody else is doing, and you're doing something which anybody else can replicate, right? Solve hard problems with digital. There is a startup which talks about reducing 75% making charge, right? 75% making charge is reduced because of 3D printing. Now, that is a hard problem to solve. Now, the year before the last, I had come in and I was talking about how other asset classes, because of the sort of brokerages they charge, they are seen as an easy one to invest into. But jewelry, because of the 14, 15, 16, 17% making charges, as an asset class, unless you're buying coins, it is seen something which has high entry barriers. And I talked about the ability to drastically reduce making charges and yet make profit. And how is it that we can do that? That is already live right now. Right? I was talking about it 2 years ago. It already happens. You can create something that is difficult to copy by digital, but prioritize what you're going to go after and execute with focus. Don't do it as another activity जो side में चल रही है. अगर इसने benefit दे दिया तो ठीक है, नहीं तो जैसी दुकान चल रही है वैसी चलती रहेगी. That will typically land you, you'll end up doing activities without focus, will land you with, as I said, with activities, with priorities which are not difficult to copy or are already being done by others. It's not a differentiator per se, the way digital can allow you to be. That's it from my part. I just, I hope I have been able to finish on time. That's my email ID. I'm always happy to get in touch with anybody and everybody here. I'm happy to take any questions. I'm around till 4:30, after which I'll have a flight to catch. But if there are any questions right now, and Samit, if we do have the time, then I'm happy to take right now. Otherwise, as I said, yeah.
Yes, sir.
We can?
Sure, please. Please, sir.
You'll need a mic, I
Can
think.
we have a mic there? Sir, in case he's audible.
Yeah,
can we
okay,
start?
please, yeah, go for it. Right. Right. So workforce analytics essentially covers the ability to look at a numerous variables and finding out who's best suited for a particular role. So let's take a simple role and let's take an example. Let's say you are short of a person for the bangle counter in one particular store. Let's take something very specific. Basis historical data of your workforce, there are tools available today which can analyze with a lot of depth what kind of profile of an individual is actually most suited to perform well at that particular counter. It will include a lot of things: age, gender, previous experience. It is for a particular counter, so ability to match better with wedding trousseau, all sorts of things. The more variables you feed in, the richer it gets. Language capabilities, all of those things. And here I'm talking about just somebody at a counter. But let's say you're hiring somebody, a more of a white-collared, a more of a sophisticated role, and let's say you were hiring somebody for digital marketing, or let's say you were hiring a CIO for your company. Even there, workforce analytics will come in and make recommendations as to what kind of profiles you should hire, basis your historical data as to who performs better, and hence, given a set of expectations from that role, how a particular profile is more likely to do better than others. Today, this happens largely from judgment, right? कि इतना दे देते हैं पगार इतने में तो आ जाएगा. That is how, at least at the store level, I have seen store managers do this. Or I knew her from my previous employers, and she does a good job. इनको दे दो. But data always trumps judgment, particularly when the data set is large, when analytics has been fed with rich historical data, and once you implement, you will see those kind of results.
Thank
Thank you. Thank you very much. Devang Shah, sir. Sir, thank you for your question. I request you to be here center stage with us, Devang Shah, sir. And please make sure that you ask him all the questions since sir has his flight. Till about 4 p.m. he's here with us, but we'll miss you for the fashion event, for the fashion extravaganza, sir.
Yes.
I'm going to request you to kindly be here with us and maybe please once again invite Mr. Bijal Kurian, who opened the ramp for us, on stage here. We'd like to present our mementos to both of you. Mr. Samit Bhatta, ladies and gentlemen, maybe please put our hands together for our visionary leader, Mr. Samit Bhatta. Thank you very much, dear sir.
Thank you.
Our associate publisher of the Retail Jeweler India Forum.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing the honors, Mr. Samit Bhatta. Mr. Bijal, sir, you took some time to come. You thought you were going to walk the ramp again. You took a little longer to come. Please, sir. Unfortunately, he missed his flight from Dubai, and he said...